everyone. I'd ask that we would please rise as Bruce Norgard from Lake Region Healthcare Chaplain leads us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, as we gather here to conduct the business of the City Council, we thank all those who are here serving to provide governance for our city. Thank you, they've chosen to undertake these tasks, studying the issues to be decided. We give thanks. We have this representative form of government that is of the people, for the people, and by the people. We thank you as well for any and all residents, business people, our firefighter services, and media representatives that are here as observers and possibly provide representative input for concerned parties. We ask for your guidance as decisions are made, ordinances are discussed and enacted, vision for planning processes are sought, and as all the routine business decisions and approvals that are needed to keep our city functioning today and into the future are made. We thank you as well for the work of the city staff who have prepared the agendas, done the research, and recording the actions taken here this evening. Lord God, we ask your blessings that on all that is done here as we the people are represented by these who receive their ultimate authority from you. May their work honor and glorify you and serve the people of Fergus Falls in ways that are in accord with your will for the benefit of your people. In your name we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's Monday, August 6th, 2018, 5:30, and I'll call this meeting of the Fergus Falls City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Here.
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 Alford is absent and Fish.
Here.
We have a quorum. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I'll call on City Administrator Andrew Brumseth.
Yeah, good evening, Your Honor, members of the council. There are no additions or corrections to the agenda from staff's perspective this evening.
I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Scott. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. There are no public hearings this evening, and there are no bids to award. Under petitions and communications, first item of business, we will be entertaining a resolution acknowledging the retirement and years of service of Pat Griffin. And I will read that resolution. Whereas Pat Griffin has submitted his intent to retire from the Fergus Falls Fire Department effective August 12, 2018, and whereas Pat began his service as a firefighter to the city of Fergus Falls and the surrounding area on August 12, 1985, and whereas Pat became a captain of the department on January 13, 1992, and has remained in that role since. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Fergus Falls, Minnesota, to accept Pat Griffin's resignation from the Fergus Falls Fire Department and thank him for 33 years of dedicated service to the City of Fergus Falls. The above and foregoing resolution was offered at a regular meeting of the Fergus Falls City Council held on August 6th by Councilmember Jim Fish, who moved its adoption, was seconded by Councilmember Scott Rachels, and was adopted by the following vote. Roll call, please.
Rachels.
Here.
Rupert.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Arneson.
Yes.
Speedell.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
And I would have said yes, I'm sorry.
That resolution
Should have said no.
is approved. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for yeah, we gotta get back. Thank you. All right.
Thanks again, Pat.
Thank you.
Don't they have to give a speech after 30-some years? Yeah.
I didn't prepare anything, okay? 33 years of fun, the adrenaline rush is what keeps you going here. The camaraderie, hundreds of people I've known, and all the people in the area I've helped. Hopefully, they appreciate it. They appreciate the fire department. I know you guys do. So with that, thank you very much for this opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank
Pat.
you, Pat. Next item, I will call on Community Development Director Amy Baldwin to introduce our new city planner, Ryan Vitluk. Vitluk? Am I close?
We're trying real hard. You think with our Norwegian background we could do it, but thank you. This evening we just want to take a moment to introduce the new city planner, Ryan, who is now with us, been on board a couple weeks, and we're very excited at the wealth of experience and education that he brings with him to the city of Fergus Falls, and has chosen Fergus Falls as a new home, relocating here from North Carolina, has family connections via his wife to Minnesota as well. Ryan did earn his Master's of Arts degree in Urban and Regional Planning from Mankato, I'll also call it Mankato State, Minnesota, Minnesota State University, Mankato. Ryan's a certified planner through the American Institute of Certified Planners, or AICP is the credential there, a member of the Minnesota Planning Association, and in his background has had a great mixture of development review process and activities, as well as long-range planning in communities both smaller and larger across the country. So we're very excited for Ryan to be on board and joining the community development team. So just wanted to formally introduce Ryan. If you see a new face around, does still have Gordon's phone number, so that phone number remains unchanged if you would wish to call. And I'm looking forward to continued work.
Thank you, Amy.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pronounce that name again.
All right, we need your help on this one.
Yeah, can we get an official
Can you please
pronunciation?
pronounce that name again so that we get the true Norski pronunciation?
Well, my wife can do it better, but it is Vitluk.
Vidluk.
Vitluk.
Thank you very much.
I wasn't that
welcome.
far off, was I?
Look.
Not too bad for a German.
Yeah. I'm Polish.
Yeah, Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Members, want to welcome Ryan to the team. We're glad to have him here and think he's going to do a great job. But I also want to encourage you as council members now. We wanted to introduce you to Ryan all at the same time, but would encourage you, if you have time or the desire, to individually reach out to Ryan and sit down with him and get to know him, introduce yourselves. He's got a very interesting and diverse background and experiences, and I think it would be good if you all would take the time to individually get to know him and understand his perspective and some of his philosophies as we move things forward under new leadership in that department. So just encourage you all to do that.
Next item on the agenda is a proclamation for National Night Out, and I'll just read a portion of that proclamation. Whereas the National Association of Town Watch sponsors the National Community Building Campaign on Tuesday, August 7th, 2018, entitled National Night Out. And whereas National Night Out is an annual community building campaign that promotes police, community partnerships, and neighborhood camaraderie to make our neighborhoods safer, more caring places to live. And whereas neighbors in Fergus Falls assist local law enforcement members through joint community building efforts and support. And whereas volunteers community-wide are hosting block parties, and I believe there's 30 block parties now, to build safer, more caring community, further be it resolved that I, as mayor, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, August 7th, 2018 as National Night Out in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. And finally, there is a resolution. A proclamation for the Prairie.
Put it in a resolution form, but they meant it as a proclamation.
Meant as a proclamation. Okay, just making sure. So, Whereas the Friends of the Prairie Wetland Learning Center affirm that the Prairie Wetland Learning Center began with the vision to connect people to the land, and whereas the Friends of the Prairie Wetland Learning Center recognize that this mission has been accomplished through the partnership and support of many community groups, individuals, along with the City of Fergus Falls, the State of Minnesota, the Fergus Falls Public Schools, the United States Fish and Wildlife Service. And whereas the Friends of the Prairie Wetland Learning Center continue to strongly recognize and endorse the high-quality programming found at the Prairie Wetlands Learning Center during the past 20 years, now be it resolved that the mayor and the city council of Fergus Falls proclaim the month of August as Prairie Wetlands Learning Center Month in honor of 20 years of exemplary service work in enabling people to gain delight and pleasure in the beauty of the earth, and for developing an earth stewardship ethic through bringing people back to the land.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, in addition to that, I think Prairie Wetlands has got a tree planting thing going on tomorrow as well.
Oh, do they?
As part of this.
Would you like to,
Oh.
please, please.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Janelle Mirsch, and I'm on the Friends of the Prairie Wetlands Board. We're having a celebration on August 18th. I'd like to invite all of you to come. It's free, open to the public. We'll have tours, free root beer floats, and the corner booth string band will be playing. So it's monarch tagging that day. It's the 20th year of monarch tagging by the staff of Prairie Wetlands. So it'll be a lot of fun, and I hope y'all can come, and I appreciate you passing the resolution for us.
Did you have a time on that for the 18th?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. I keep forgetting that. So it's 8/18/18,
Okay.
easy to remember. It's 11 to 3 for
Thank
the
you.
Monarchs, music, and more.
And was there a tree planting event tomorrow?
I'm sorry.
Is there a tree planting event tomorrow?
Oh, that I don't
Anthony's gonna go
know.
plant some trees anyway.
That I don't know.
Probably won't work. They were looking for volunteers tomorrow to plant trees.
Oh, right. Plant. Yes, you're right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and there's a copy in your packet. There's also a copy on the board. If anyone has any of the items that they'd like to discuss individually, we can pull those off. If not, I would entertain a resolution.
Make that
approving
your honor.
the consent agenda. Thank you, Tom.
second that.
Thank you, Brent. Roll call, please.
Rachel's,
Yes.
Rufer.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Ernst.
Yes.
Speedo.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
That resolution is approved. The next item of business is under ordinances and resolutions. We will need a first reading of ordinance 72, 7th series, Amy Court vacation, and I believe that's just a correction to the
No, Your Honor, members, we talked about this at the last meeting, and this is related to vacating Amy Court for the redevelopment of 5 new single-family homes in that area.
we just need that introduced this evening.
Yep.
I'll introduce that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justin. Next item under ordinance and resolutions is the second reading of ordinance 71, 7th series, annexation of land from Fergus Falls Township. And we've discussed this.
Members, just for the record, there's changes to the ordinance between the first and the second reading, and that's associated with clarifying who the property taxes will be paid to. And because the annexation will become effective after August 1st, Fergus Falls Township is entitled to be paid the property taxes through levy year 2019. And then beginning in levy year 2020, all the taxes will be paid to the city of Fergus Falls. So just wanted to clarify that that was actually clarified and changed within the ordinance that we would be voting on this evening.
Any questions on that? Roll call, please.
Rachel's.
Yes.
Rufer.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Ernst.
Yes.
Speedo.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Fish.
Yes.
That resolution is approved.
Ordinance.
I'm sorry, that ordinance. Next item is a resolution approving the EIS determination for Phase 2 and the environmental assessment worksheet findings of fact for the regional treatments, and I'll call on our city engineer, Brian Yavaro.
Thank you, Your Honor, and members of the council. The mandatory 30-day EAW public comment period ended on July 11, 2018 for the RTC Phase 2 deconstruction project. During that publication, the city received a total of 6 comments during the publication. Of the written comments received, 3 of them were received beyond the submission deadline. Although the RGU, such as the city, the proposer, has a discretion to disregard these late submissions, however, it's good practice to consider them. So given all 6 comments were reviewed and are also attached in your packet for your own individual review. The next meeting we did on July 17th, we held a public hearing open house from 5 to 7 in the council chambers right here. Representatives from the city and Stantec were available and provided any specific project information in regards to Phase 2. Presentation was available, however, we had no attendance for this project as well. I've also attached the official meeting minutes for your information and for Rio. Based on all the responses received, none of which cited a need for an EIS, the findings of facts has determined this project does not pose any significant environmental impacts given the general criteria and the proposed Phase 2 activity. Therefore, staff, we recommend an EIS should not be considered necessary to move on with this project. To memorialize this, the City Council must pass a resolution. A draft resolution has been placed on your desk. That one acknowledges, if approved, a determination for no needing of Phase 2. If this is approved, we'll send this back to the Environmental Quality Board for their distribution and also responses to all 6 comments mentioned above. So therefore, at this time, I'm requesting City Council will pass a resolution to determine that an EIS is not necessary for the RTC Phase 2 deconstruction project, Public Improvement 9692.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions?
I'll second it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Anthony. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 That resolution is approved. Next item is a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application from the National Endowment for the Arts, and I'll call on Ryan Miller.
Good evening, Your Honor and council members. I am here to request a resolution authorizing the submission of a National Endowment for the Arts funding application, and this would be for elements of the downtown Riverfront Master Plan that are currently undergoing design and engineering work for the 2 riverfront parking lot sites identified in the master plan. So currently the city is in a contract with Bolton & Mink to get that design and engineering done. And with that work underway, staff was discussing funding sources or mechanisms for some of the projects or some of the items that could be identified in that design and engineering. One funding source, the National Endowment for the Arts, was actually noted in the master plan as a potential funding source. It was recently used by Springboard for the Arts to fund their Year of Play project, which there's been a number of those projects going around town now. And so this could be another good source for some of the artistic or public space improvements that could be identified in the design and engineering of that, the 2 parking lots. So the application, the proposal would be for a grant application of $200,000. It does require a dollar for dollar match, so the project total would be for a $400,000 project. And we've broken down the proposal into some various uses of those funds, including funding for a potential interactive water feature, which is included in the initial renderings for the design and engineering, some public art installations throughout the 2 blocks, wayfinding and signage, and then additional budgeting for programming and staffing to get the space programmed and utilized. A preliminary application of intent is due August 9th, so this Thursday, and a final application is due August 21st. So staff will be working to get an initial application together should we get authorization, and we'll start working with partners such as Springboard for the Arts, the Public Arts Commission, Lake Region Arts Council, and others to identify some other potential funding sources for the match.
Yeah, I was just going to add, so the match doesn't necessarily have to be public dollars. It's just a match of just matching dollars.
Correct.
Yep.
I'll offer that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Rod.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Brent, is there any discussion, questions for Ryan? Roll call, please.
Rachel.
Yes.
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 That resolution is approved. Thank you, Ryan. Next item is a resolution of support for the Small Town and Regional Vitality Investment Act. And this was initiated by Congressman Peterson's office. It's a bill by Congressman Tim Walz, who as you see the copy in your packet, it's to provide funds to enable counties to make competitive grants to qualified local units of governments to address major community development and public infrastructure challenges and for other purposes. They reached out to get some input and feedback on the bill. I would encourage anyone who has any additional thoughts on this bill to contact me. I'll just say the approach is to appropriate funds in a match where that's 85% federal, 10% state, and 5% local. The key piece being that it gives local units of government the ability to control how the funds are spent, not top down. It's not the federal government telling you how these funds are spent. You see the list of it's a wide range from trails to public infrastructure to public facilities, healthcare. Communities get to decide how the funds are spent. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. If not, is there a...
I'll offer that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justin.
Second that, Your Honor.
Thank you, Tom. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 That resolution is approved. Next item on the agenda is the presentation of claims, and tonight we have claims in the amount of $1,491,524.52. And if there's any questions, I'm sure our Finance Director, Bill Sommer, would be happy to answer them.
I'll offer, Your Honor.
Thank you, Scott.
I'll second.
Thank you, Rod. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 That resolution is approved. There are no board, committee, or department reports. Under reports from staff and administrative officers, we will have an update on the Northeast River Reach Small Area Plan, and I will call on Ryan Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor and council members. Just wanted to give a quick update on the Northeast River Reach Small Area Plan project. Just for a background, this is the same project within the larger Hoot Lake Land Use Study project that we did get that federal EDA grant fund a couple years ago. The federal EDA grant was for funds for a kind of a three-phase approach to some long-range planning activities around the Hoot Lake Land Use site, or the Hoot Lake Power Plant site. We're calling it the Northeast River Reach, kind of to fit in with our planning work around the Downtown River Master Plan. The three phases of that project are, one, the preliminary engineering report, which a final draft of that was presented to the City Council earlier this year and accepted. The second phase for the project would be the land use study, which we're currently undergoing. I'll have some more details on an update for that portion of the work. And the third phase would be the fiscal and economic impact studies that will get done once we've finished the engineering and the land use studies. The overall grant, as I mentioned, it's a two-year project, two-year grant period. It started in 2016. Our grant period ends September 30th of 2018, so we're just a couple months away. So we have getting a close on the land use side, and we'll get the fiscal and economic impact studies done before our grant period ends. So an update on the land use study. So last fall in November of 2017, the city entered into a contract with Bolton and Menk to complete the future land use study component of the grant project. They met with the steering committee initially in November and have met an additional 5 times with the steering committee to put together some project basics, needs, considerations for the project area, which it's on the second page of this. I can switch the page. That's the study area there. It's kind of shrunk there with the resolution or the size of the map, but It's really anything south of Fur Avenue, along the river, north of Main Avenue, and anywhere east of kind of the Concord Bridge Cemetery area. There were 2 open houses to this point. For the land use study, we had the first open house held on April 12th. We had about 50 people in attendance there. We invited residents and stakeholders within the project area. Based off of the input that we gathered at that first open house in April, some draft land use concepts and recommendations were put together by Bolton and Mink, which were then shared at our most recent open house on July 31st. We have gotten the initial feedback and comments from the attendees of that open house, and Bolton and Mink will be working on making any final changes to those draft proposals, which will then go into a draft plan report for the land use study. That draft document will be presented to the Planning Commission on August 13th, and as well to the City Council on August 20th. Once that land use piece is complete, as I mentioned, we're going to move forward with the fiscal and economic studies portion of that 3-phase plan. The city will be collecting estimates from municipal advisors to help us, look at the fiscal impact of the land use proposals identified in the land use study, looking at, development concepts or proposals, and costs that would go towards that for infrastructure or service needs for any additional growth in the community. They will also look at impacts to tax base with the loss of tax revenue within the project area and possible increases from any new development. And we have also partnered with the U of M Extension Center for Community Vitality to do a free economic impact analysis, more focused on just the impact of the loss of the coal power plant itself and the direct and indirect impacts of the community. So that's where we're at. I'll offer any questions on the project.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, right.
I understand the plant, is the official word decommissioned? Is that what how we're used to use for the coal plant, decommissioned?
Councilmember Speedo, yeah, for the power plant itself, they plan to decommission the facility in May of 2021, but that's the official term being used, decommissioning
Right.
the power plant, which is shutting down operations.
Yeah, and as far as the study goes, does that cover the aspects of whether that is, any of the buildings are actually taken down, or if they're simply just chain linked off? Do we know the final, what will be done with the facility and the area around there? Do we know that for sure?
There's been no final word on what will or will not remain, so that's not included in the study. That would be any additional planning once future changes are made by Ottertail Power Company.
The reason I ask is because I think it affects the long-term tax revenue planning, et cetera, whether the building is remained, there, or if we're actually taking it down. And I realize you don't know, but I just was going to mention that because long-term it does affect us, I think.
Ottertail Power has been involved in the process all along, and their input has been collected for the process, and at this point there's just no known answer for that question.
Okay, thank you.
Question, so the land use study that will be presented to the Planning Commission on August 13th, is that a list of options and then the fiscal study happens, or is it just one particular land use proposal?
The land use study plan will be presented as just some land use and development concepts identified in that piece of the plan. We will not have the fiscal and economic studies.
But it's a choice, it's options, or it's one option?
It's going to be a final, it'll be a final plan, a final concept for various sites within that project area.
One other question, Hunter. The other group that came in, they mentioned the river and its flows. That was a part of the study done, right? And while we were doing that, it was noted that the sewer pipe, would be monitored. They said they recommended monitoring, I believe, in the study that came before us before. In the long-term planning, is there anything in there for, funding that monitoring or? And the reason I ask is that the sewer plant was built that carries all the sewage from the south side of Fergus Falls across the river, almost all of it, down below Union Bridge, was built after Otter Tail Power was heating the river. So it should be noted, it wasn't noted as strongly, but I would like to note it, that we have never had a winter where the Otter Tail River froze, thawed, and had ice jams as it would naturally. Well, without that, when that sewer pipe was built, it already was warming of the Otter Tail Power, the river by Otter Tail Power. So this river has never experienced that, therefore that pipe has never experienced what will happen if you have an ice flow, ice jam, etc., because the river's going to freeze more. And I just wondered if we really have anything in place for monitoring, or I know it was recommended, but I think it was done lightly. I think it's a more serious problem than we want to admit, because no one has ever seen it before. We've never had it, experienced it, so anyhow.
Your Honor, that's not correct. There was a year when they did an overhaul on that unit and the river did freeze over. There were certain areas that the geese kept open, but the river itself was frozen.
You're right, there was a year, that's right. I stand corrected, yep. The geese, in other words, the solution might be to get more geese to warm the river.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
There is no old and unfinished business. There is no new business. So, and I don't believe there's anything else to come before the council. I will just say a couple announcements. Filing for city council position runs through Tuesday, August 14th. Anyone interested in running for city council, come to City Hall. Lynn Olson will get you the forms necessary. And again, that runs through Tuesday, August 14th at 4:30 p.m. And also on Tuesday, August 14th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at all 4 polling places in the city of Fergus Falls is the primary election. So if you have any questions regarding where your polling place is, again, you can contact Lynn Olson. She'd be happy to get you to the proper location. And with that,
On the 14th, is there a close of business? I mean, is it 4 o'clock? It's 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock on the final.
Filing closes at 5 o'clock on the 14th.
it's 5 o'clock. I'm sorry, I thought city hall closed at 4:30.
It does, but I get to stay extra to make sure.
It's
the
5
last
o'clock.
minute filers are taken care of.
Got it. 5 o'clock. Now I stand corrected as well, Rod. 5 o'clock. Tuesday, August 14th is when the filing closes. With that, we're adjourned.